W.A.W and Halftime Pizza proudly present Royal Week Radio Chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday, June 6th. And yes, I just made it with 10 minutes to spare. And it's going to be June 7th in about 10 minutes on the East Coast. So guys, I just wanted to, and once again, I know I'm going on late, a very inopportune time for everyone to catch the live broadcast. But I would be remiss if I didn't come on at least for a minute or so and wish Coach Ronnie Shields, our dear friend, the incomparable Coach Ronnie Shields, a very, very happy birthday. Once again, we were originally slated. Once again, guys, this is Tuesday night. We customarily go on every evening, almost every evening, throughout the entire year, guys, at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we are so fortunate, and it is completely our honor to be able to speak with this man every single week, one of the most brilliant minds in boxing, and one of the most prolific trainers in the history of our sport. Guys, yeah, it is definitely my honor to be able to share the air with him every single week. And it humbles me to be able to make this announcement. One of the most brilliant minds you will meet in this sport, and one of the most humble, affable men that you will meet anywhere in life. And I'm proud to call him my friend and to be able to have been working with him on various different platforms, being on the radio with him for probably about 12 years now, somewhere around there. And it's a very humbling experience, and I always learn something new every time I share the air with him. And guys, it is always a treat to be able to, well, exclusively on War Week Radio, have the Ronnie Shields Show, Real Boxing with Coach Ronnie Shields, every single week almost without fail. And so here's to you, brother. You've been a mentor to me, and I love you, man. And proud to call you my friend and my brother in this brutal and often unfair business of boxing. You are truly one of the great guys of this business and in life that I've ever met. So happy birthday, my brother. And I hope you and the lovely Miss Shields had a wonderful time this evening. And yeah, it definitely humbles me. And it's such an honor to be able to share the air with you every single week. So, excuse me. So yeah, guys, now that my voice is officially back to normal, yeah, it's just fitting that I get to make this announcement to our beloved, dear friend, Coach Ronnie Shields. What an amazing guy. Now, once again, he's devoted his entire life to the sport of boxing. Yeah, this gentleman is boxing through and through, and definitely one of the most prolific trainers of this era or any era. Born June 6th in Port Arthur, Texas. Yep. Now he runs his stable of talent, one of the deepest stables of talent in boxing, out of Sugar Land, Texas. Once again, he had an amateur career. He actually has 2 victories over Tommy Hearns as an amateur. Yep. He was the National Junior Olympics featherweight champion, 75. He was the National Golden Gloves featherweight champion. And in 76 and 78, he was the National Golden Gloves light junior welterweight champion. Yep. Tell you what, Ronnie is one of a kind. And then, you know, the only regret I think we all have who know and love Ronnie Shields is that he never officially became a champion back when, well, major world titles. Boy, that was something special within the history of boxing. Not just some trinket that you can just dump away very easily in the trash, like Rolly Romero just did with the WBA junior welterweight title, right? But yeah, once again, he should have won the decision, right? A tough fight against Billy Costello for the WBC junior welterweight title. Lost a close decision, but in '86 flew over to Japan and fought Tsuyoshi Hamada for the WBC junior welterweight title again, and he was robbed of a split decision. That's when he should have become world champion. So yeah, winning the titles, that still means something to my man, Coach Ronnie Shields. Okay, because once again, he was deprived of that, and he had the talent. Obviously, he's got the ring IQ. He always has. But he had the athletic skill, too, as well. And it's such a shame that he he didn't stick around the sport long enough. Once again, he retired in '88 because he insisted that, yeah, he didn't want the sport to retire him. And once again, a gentleman who stuck around the sport way too long, I thought. And he has a big victory over him. The ageless wonder, Saul Mamby. You guys remember him? Excellent fighter. Coach Ronnie Shields. Yep. Yeah, has a big victory over him. But as a trainer, guys, and once again, he was mentored by and taken under the wing of Main Events in the Duvas. And he also was mentored by the late great Georgie Benton. And that's how he picked up. And once again, Ronnie is such a good, humble guy. That's how he picked up everything and learned. Also being mentored by the great Emmanuel Stewart that he met as an amateur after he got those two big victories over Tommy Hearns. I think in the amateurs, I think he said he fought Tommy 4 times and they split 2 victories apiece. The guys, Ronnie's been in the ring and shared all of these experiences with some of the greatest fighters of all time. Pernell Sweet Pete Whitaker. Goodness gracious. One of the greatest defensive fighters in the history of our sport. The late, great Vernon Forrest. One of the best people that you would ever meet in this business and in life. Gone way too soon. Evander Holyfield, the real deal. Arguably the greatest cruiserweight of all time besides Alexander Usyk. And one of the greatest heavyweights. The only 4-time heavyweight champion in the history of our beloved boxing. And also, who could ever forget the duties of training Mike Tyson in Hawaii for the big, huge Lennox Lewis fight, going head-to-head with his mentor, Emmanuel Stewart. I tell you what, Ronnie is such an amazing guy, and he's so brilliant. And, you know, it often gets overlooked because he's such a good, affable, and jovial guy, and he gets along well with everybody. So you forget how truly brilliant this man is. And once again, he helped train Arturo Gatti when he was with Main Events. And obviously, who could forget his champion at 35 pounds, Juan the Baby Bull Diaz. He also trained Kazim Muma. Southern Disaster, Dominic Gwynn, who works with him, very close to him, and he loves him dearly. The Southern Disaster. He's his protege at Sugar Land, Texas, the Ronnie Shield gym right now. El Diamante, Raul Marquez. 2-time super featherweight champion, Jesse James Leija. Jesus Chavez, former champion. Kermit Cintron. Tomas Adamek. And who can forget Jermel and Jamal Charlo. Coached them ever since they were kids. There's Landy Lara, Brian Vera, Edwin Labomba Rodriguez, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Yeah, it just keeps going on and on. And right now, guys, Dave Morrell Jr., one of the brightest contenders and champions this sport has right now in the business. Guys, Ronnie has done so much for our show, and it is truly a privilege to be able to feature him every single week. And although, yeah, he's celebrating his birthday, he celebrated his birthday today. So obviously he took the night off, but just wanted to come on here and remind you guys. And I know you guys realize this, but we are all so fortunate to be able to meet with him every single week. And it's definitely been one of the high points of not just my boxing career, but my life. Because at heart, obviously, I'm still a kid at heart when it comes to boxing. And just remember all of the great fights. And being a fan of Ronnie and his stable of fighters over his 5 decades in this business. Yeah, it's been something special. And to call him a dear friend of mine, yeah, I'm a very fortunate person to know this gentleman. So again, one of the great guys in our sport today. And look, it's only a matter of time. And once again, by the World Boxing Hall of Fame, he was Trainer of the Year in 2003. He's in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame as well as the Texas Boxing Hall of Fame. But guys, make no mistake, it's only a matter of time before he is inducted officially in the International Boxing Hall of Fame of Canastota, New York. That is just a certainty, and it's only a matter of time. Once again, one of the most brilliant minds in the sport. And once again, people often overlook it because he's such a good, humble guy, right? Now, obviously, he shows when it's time to do it, he shows people who's boss. Because that's his job. That's what he does, and he is one of the best in the world at it. But yeah, cultivating champions from the amateurs up. You know, he's one of the few trainers that actually does that. And he's truly a great man. And we're very fortunate to be able to share the air with him every single week. And once again, it's our honor to be able to share that moment with him. And I want to thank you guys. Once again, if you're not listening to the live show, please leave your comments wishing him happy birthday. And want to give a big shout out to my brother, Larry Listen. Salute, Joseph. What a great upcoming fight we have this weekend. Actually, my favorite fight of the year. I will say this. I love both fights. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Sergey Derevyanchenko has left in the bag. And I know you're not referring to that because most people seem to think that not only is he a little long in the tooth, but he may be a shot fighter. I don't know. I haven't seen him train. I haven't seen him in the gym spar lately. And he took a lot of time off after the Carlos Adames fight. Fought again after that, but he's taken a lot of time off and is much needed for his body and mind to heal after several grueling, tough outings in which, yeah, a lot of fans believe that he deserved to win the Danny Jacobs fight on HBO, as well as the Gennady Golovkin fight, right? And I think that was in New York City, Madison Square Garden. And obviously, he took a beating at the hands during COVID on pay-per-view, Showtime, at the hands of Ronnie's fighter, Jermall Charlo, the current WBC middleweight champion. And he was just taken apart with the jab alone as he was coming in. And once again, there's no shame in that. Jermall Charlo, one of the best fighters in boxing, and has one of the most intelligent lead hands in the entire sport. And then, yeah, obviously the Carlos Adames loss, in which every single time he tried to make his way inside, he was wrapped up like an octopus by Carlos Adames, who is a donut fighter. Admittedly, he doesn't have any real prowess or proficient technical ability on the inside, right? So with the ref allowing him to do that, yeah, and pretty much put him in checkmate. Because that's Sergey Derevyanchenko's forte, is the way he shows his opponent's angles. A great beard, solid two-fisted attack, very creative combination, punching to the body and head. And as soon as he fires off a combination, he pivots around you, forcing you to reset and not able to counter effectively. Deep amateur background, boasts one of the best records in the history of amateur boxing. But in my opinion, he started a pro career way too late. But he still has the skills. My question is, I don't know if he still has the legs underneath him and the ability to take a good shot. Keep in mind, guys, went 12 hard rounds with Gennady Golovkin. And although he's one of the few men to actually hurt Gennady Golovkin in the pro ring, yeah, he got hurt too in that fight. But it was a great performance, and most fans, they believe he won that fight or deserved to get the decision. But we'll see if he has anything left. But because I tell you what, Jaime Munguia, if Sergey Derevyanchenko is well rested and well preserved and is not a shot fighter, still has a good chin and his legs underneath him, this could be a very interesting fight. But once again, Larry, I know you were not referring to that one. And I also know you weren't referring to the Don King card and Adrian Broner versus Bill Hutchinson. Although I am curious to see what happens and how AB looks, I'm just fearing the worst, that Adrian Broner is once again, and bringing up Ronnie Shields again, this is what he wanted to avoid. He took care of himself, took care of his money, surrounded himself with the right people. And once again, Ronnie, one of the most humble but smartest men in the business, made wise decisions with his money. And once again, surrounded himself with the right people. The Dubas, main events initially, taught him the business. And once again, Georgie Benton, you couldn't ask for a better man to mentor you getting into this business, at least a different realm into this business. The always, seemingly thankless cause of being a boxing trainer, where admittedly, you get most of the blame and none of the credit. But you know what? Ronnie's such a good, humble guy. He doesn't care about being heralded or put up on this pedestal like some trainers who want all the attention. All right? Ronnie is a throwback. He's a good, humble guy, and he understands his job, well, is taking care of his fighters. Make sure. And the beautiful thing about Ronnie, and once again, he once again taking a page from Georgie Benton and Emmanuel Stewart. They're the ones who taught him this, and Ronnie perfected it. Not just preparing him for the rigors of battle, taking care, making sure that they're prepared, but also ensuring that they're going to have a great life after boxing. Ronnie is a special, special person. And once again, he doesn't ask for the pat in the back. He just loves this business, and he loves his brothers in the gym. And he's like a father to so many people. Guys, we're very lucky to be able to share the air with him. At this time, I don't know who this is, but I'm going to welcome him to the show for the first time on War Week Radio. Bush Beer.
What's good? Sir. How's it going, man?
It's going very well. And I tell you what, thank you for being here and helping us celebrate the birthday of our dear friend, Coach Ronnie Shields. We're always very fortunate to be able to share the air with him. But I will say this, and Bush, I'm going to get your thoughts on this. Okay. Larry says, great upcoming fight we got this week, and actually my favorite fight of the year. And I'm sure he was singling out, well, the one for the lineal junior welterweight championship, Josh Taylor, defending his titles against Teofimo Lopez in New York City, at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. I just wish you were in the big house once again. But that's how far. Now, once again, these guys are just 2 years removed from being both the undisputed champions at 135 and 140, respectively. And that's how far their perception has slid. Whether or not that's the reality, we'll find out on Saturday. But what are your thoughts, Bush, on this terrific fight coming up on Saturday?
Me personally, I got Taylor winning. I just feel like he's just a better boxer. I'll break it down a bit. I always felt like Tio had trouble with guys that keep distance, and I always felt that he beat Loma, but I think Tio does good when you come to him, right? If you play into his hands and you come to him, that's where he does his best work. Ever since I seen the Nakatani fight, I was like, yeah, Tio's. Once he fights a guy that has a good jab, knows footwork, and knows his distance, he's gonna lose, right? This is when he was undefeated.
You're absolutely right. And I'll explain why. And once again, it's anyone who has an intelligent jab. And what I mean by intelligent jab is they are very proficient at mixing speeds, mixing in feints, mixing in touch jabs, combining it with hard sticking jabs
and 2-1s too. 2-1s
intervals, right?
2-1s too. That's very underrated. 2-1s. First with a right hook and then a jab to the body. Like you say, it puts up the timing.
It disrupts the timing and rhythm of a prolific counterpuncher like Teofimo Lopez. And once again, that's always been a big problem with him. But Josh Taylor, he can be his own worst enemy at times and can make fights more difficult than they need to be. He likes to brawl. And I'm hoping that we see both men elect to, trade in the pocket. Because, guys, if both men show that same sense of urgency and are not reluctant to let their hands go, we could see an epic war of attrition just like we did in the Super World Series between Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis.
Yeah. And I wanted to say too, but you made some great points, but I wanted to say back to Tio. Dude, this is when Tio was undefeated and people were like hyping him up. And I was like, I would watch videos of the Nakatani fight. And I'm like, yeah, man, this guy, I was saying I think Devin Haney beats Tio like 2 years ago, right? This was the style matchup and shit. But okay, but now let's fast forward, right? 2 years later, 3 years later. I feel like Taylor has all the tools to beat Tio. I feel like if Taylor fights the way he fought against Jose Ramirez, I feel like he beats Tio. And I also feel like, like you said, Taylor does have a tendency to lose the game plan sometimes and like box you on the inside. And he might do that against Tio. But, I mean, Taylor banged it out with the best of the business, right? I don't think there's a stronger guy at 140, maybe besides Matias, than there is with Porgrace, right?
Yeah.
And he banged him in the middle. He banged with him in the middle. So if he can do that with Porgrace, I'm sure he could do it with Tio. But I think the big issue with Tio is Tio resets too much. And I feel like he's off balance a lot after his shots. And it's just, to the naked eye, Tio looks phenomenal, right? Because he's very athletic. He has flashy counters. He's quick. But you can definitely see the flaws in there. And you know why. You understand why. Because this guy never really had a top trainer. I know he side trained a bit with Joey Camacho and also
Joey Camacho.
The Cuban Rubio. What's his first name? The one that trained Khan and Rigo for a bit, and Luke Campbell. Forgot his name, but he's from Miami. Tio trained with him as well, but like his main trainer was always his dad, and his dad respectfully doesn't know anything about boxing. So those flaws are always going to be in Tio's game. And it's just the way it is. I even look back at some amateur film, and he always had that same mistake.
You know what? You often do see that when someone falls in love with their natural athletic gifts. And for a long time, he could overcome those deficiencies in fundamentals because of, his athletic. He's a very special fighter, athletically gifted. But I will say this, Josh Taylor, and I'm expecting to see the best version of Teofimo Lopez, even though he said some absurd things in the interim. Guys, keep in mind, this is one of the realities of boxing that most fans don't really look into and don't really understand unless they've been a part of this business for a substantial period of time. Guys, they're business partners. For all intents and purposes, right now, they're business partners, and this is just to pump up the fight. And once again, it's worked. A lot of people are talking about this fight this week, and they're wishing that it was in the bigger hall, the big room at Madison Square Garden. This is a great fight, and it's one of the biggest in boxing that's going to be made this year. And it was largely flying under the radar, but after Teofimo Lopez, brash behavior, and obviously Josh Taylor, well, he's a mean guy, naturally mean guy and a hothead. He's not going to put up with any of that stuff. But make no mistake, guys, that was for fan benefit. After the fight, they're going to hug each other and show each other respect. But I will say this. This is the end of the line with Top Rank if Teo loses this. So hopefully he's gotten the most of himself in the gym. I know he's currently training with sparring with one of Ronnie Shields' new Cuban fighters, Adley Rodriguez, who's going to be fighting this Friday in Miami in the Don King card with Ronnie. And hopefully, yeah, he's gotten the most of Teofimo and prepared him for this. Well, it's a must win, guys. And I hate using that because, guys, let's face it, in boxing, especially this generation, every fight is a damn must win. Right? But this one especially, this could derail him. And this could be his final fight with Top Rank if he does not win. So I'm hoping to see the best version of Teofimo Lopez. And if that's the case, then Josh Taylor cannot take any rounds off. He's got to fight for all 3 minutes of every round. He's got to focus because Teofimo, even though he hasn't looked explosive against movers, guys like Sando Martin, well, Josh Taylor is going to present a lot of openings for him if he decides to let his hands go and isn't waiting for that. My biggest fear, Bush, now tell me what you think about this. My biggest fear is we've got two proficient counterpunchers, right, who combine speed with power, and so they don't let their hands go in regularity, not very often. I mean, they will if they have to. They're fighters. They're warriors at heart. And it is a fight. Sometimes the game plan just goes out the window very early when it becomes a fight, right? What do you think we're going to see? Do you think we're going to see two counterpunchers who respect each other's power enough and it makes for very, well, slow moments, a la Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Or do you think it's going to be no holds barred? This is it. This is my career, damn it. And I'm not going to let you take it from me. Which Teofimo do you think shows up tomorrow?
To be honest,
or Saturday, rather.
I don't think it matters what. Well, I think Teo always brings 100%. I think that's what I like about Teo is he has a certain intensity to him that I really like, and he always brings it. But I was gonna say, like I said, I don't think it matters what Teo brings. I think what matters is what Taylor brings because Taylor is the better. He's the better fighter from long range, so he's gonna control the fight no matter what from round one starting. He's gonna control the fight because he has the reach and he has the better jab. You put those two together, you're gonna control the first couple of rounds if you want to. So I predict in the first couple of rounds, it's probably gonna be a slow fight. A slow fight. They're figuring each other out. I think Taylor's gonna steal some rounds. I think Teal's gonna come under some urgency and try to. I think he's gonna know he's getting beat, and he's gonna step on the gas in the middle rounds and late rounds. And
if he does follow that, if this fight does play out that way, then I'm fearing the worst for Teofimo Lopez. He could get knocked out in the mid to late rounds if he puts his foot on the gas, like Ryan Garcia unwisely did, was too assertive in the second round when he got put on his ass, right? That I could very well see that happening. If he, you know what? And this is going to be the toughest thing for Teofimo Lopez. It's not an intangible that most are thinking about, but he's fighting at home. The crowd's going to be behind him, although I'm sure there's a healthy percentage of the crowd that's going to be pulling for Taylor that has made the trip to New York, right? But it's going to be a predominant Teofimo Lopez crowd in New York City, all right? And my guess is when you hear the boo birds come out, whenever they're all lulls in action, because he's at home, and he's a proud fighter. He is going to feel the onus of responsibility to force the action and make the fight happen, and that's going to be his undoing, unfortunately. If he's smart and disciplined in this fight and doesn't take the bait and go after a guy like Sandro Martin like he did then, he should wait, be disciplined, and do exactly what Jack Catterall did. Use lateral movement to not only negate the very intelligent jab of Josh Taylor, but to force him out of the pocket, unwisely become the effective, or try to become the aggressor. And he's not very effective doing it. We saw that against Jack Catterall. If Tio can use lateral movement, use angles, and pivot around him while setting traps, he could win this fight very convincingly. Your thoughts on that?
He could do it, but I just feel like his skill level isn't on the same as Taylor. I feel like Taylor has proven he has a high boxing IQ.
I will say this. You're right. From distance, you're absolutely right. But, brother, Bob Arum said this after the Jack Catterall fight. And once again, this is giving all credit, the benefit of the doubt to Josh Taylor. From what I heard, it was a fat camp that he merely tried to shed off all the pounds that he had gained after the Jose Ramirez fight. And he did not properly prepare for Jack Catterall. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he properly trained for the best version of Teofimo Lopez. But let's face it, he is not an effective aggressor. And when he's forced to take the lead, you see a very different Josh Taylor. So once again, in my opinion, the gentleman who's going to get their arm raised in victory at the end of the night is going to be the one who forces their opponent to take the lead, something that they're not fond of doing, either one of them.
And I predict Taylor's going to make Tio take the lead. That's what I predict, because
you may be right. He's at home.
In Tio's case, look, if everything you said is a great game plan for Tio, but I've never really seen him do it against a long distance guy. I think
I've never seen him have that patience either, brother.
Yeah, if he did, I would have seen it against Nakatani. But I mean, but then again, Tio was super young in that fight compared to now. It was like 4 years ago.
And let's just face it, that guy's one of the tallest lightweights in the business, and he had definitely the height and reach advantage. So if he stays out from mid to long range, Teofimo Lopez, he gets picked apart and he gets outboxed. And so he had no choice but to try and close the distance, something he's not very good at doing. Not nearly as proficient at sitting in the pocket and countering effectively, right?
But how long? Taylor's what, 5'10", right? Probably 70+ inch reach. I think he's significantly taller than Tio, and longer too. I mean, Tio, he's a pretty small guy, dude. He's like 5'7", I would say 5'6", 5'7".
Well, hold on just 1 second. I'll rattle off, just because this is turning into, once again, it started as a birthday celebration for our dear friend, Coach Ronnie Shields. And once again, thank you for being here for this, man. But since we're talking about the big fight on Saturday, I'm going to go ahead and rattle off the tail of the tape for both fighters, right? So here it is. The challenger going into Saturday night's fight, Teofimo Andres Lopez, the takeover, is going to come to the ring age 25. He stands, he fights out of the orthodox stance. He stands 5'8" on the center of the ring, fighting behind a 8.5-inch reach. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, now fights and trains. Well, he lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's going to come to the ring with a fine record of 18 wins, 1 loss, 13 big wins coming by way of knockout. Keep in mind, guys, at 35, he was spectacular, with the exception of the Nakatani fight. But at 140, now, once again, I think this is where the old adage, styles make fights, right, come into play. Because let's face it, guys, top rank at 140 hasn't really been kind to Teofimo Lopez, throwing him in the ring with several prolific boxer punchers that move around the ring and have forced him to be the aggressor, right? Once again, famously after his last fight saying, you know what, do I still have it? Yeah, everyone heard that. So it's going to be interesting. He definitely has his work cut out for him if Josh Taylor has taken this assignment seriously and wasn't just a fat camp. I haven't heard anything. So once again, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Let's rattle off the tail of the tape for Josh Taylor, the Tartan Tornado, from Scotland. He fights out of the southpaw stance most of the time, but he is a switch hitter. And you're right. He has a height advantage of 2 inches over Teofimo Lopez. He stands 5'10" inches tall in the center of the ring. Fighting behind, only a 1 inch reach advantage, 69.5. Yes, originally from Edinburgh, Scotland. He comes into the ring with a perfect record, but it shouldn't be. 19 wins, 0 losses, 13 big wins coming by way of knockout. And once again, super sensational in winning the Super World Series. And that's where he made his bones in this business. And because he wasn't a huge ticket seller, well, he had no choice but to be stuck in tough. And it really, well, made him an elite level fighter, proving himself in that very, very tough tournament. And in my opinion, yeah, one of the best fighters of the past 5 years by far. So is Josh Taylor still the same? Was the Jack Catterall just an anomaly? Because once again, according to Bob Arum, that was a terrible show, and it looked like he forgot how to fight. Your final thoughts on this, Bush?
Yeah, man, I'm picking Taylor. I just feel like he's just a better boxer. I know it's pretty basic and boring, but it is just I got Taylor. I don't got no big surprise for y'all, man. I just don't feel like Teal knows how to fight long distance guys, and I feel like that last performance against Hannah Martin, I was just yeah, man. Taylor eats this guy up. I mean, he he's a southpaw like Martin. Like Martin, he uses lateral movement like Martin, but he's just way better, more power. Just a way better boxer, man. That's how I see this fight. I had Seal beating Martin, but not by a lot. That was a close fight to me. So
very, very close fight. And once again,
yeah,
that's not Teofimo's forte. He's never been an effective aggressor, a lot like Josh Taylor. He's a prolific pocket counterpuncher who, well, he combines speed with power, and he's explosive if he can, well, remain flat-footed in the pocket. But when he has to go chase someone down, yeah, it's life can be very difficult for Teofimo Lopez in the ring. But I will say this, and welcome to the show, HLD. Hey, man, have you got your headphones on? Come on and give us your thoughts about Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor if you feel up to it. It is getting late, though, brother. But we're going to stay on for as long as we can. Once again, heralding and celebrating our good friend Ronnie Shields, his birthday. And guys, we weren't on the air last Friday, but that was James Gogie's birthday. So we're going to have a celebration tomorrow evening. James Gogie was under the weather, so he couldn't be on tonight, but we're going to be on at 9 p.m. tomorrow, right, Eastern, or as soon as he gets out of the gym. I think it's 9 Central, guys. But, gosh, you know what? I think it's going to resemble, and once again, these are two different fighters. In terms of Josh Taylor being in the situation and having the same result as Guillermo Rigondeaux. And I'm referring to Nonito Donaire versus Guillermo Rigondeaux about over a decade ago, right? In which Nonito Donaire was the very popular HBO fighter. And this was at Radio City Music Hall. And everyone was rooting for the gentleman who just won Fighter of the Year honors from Ring Magazine the year before. Right? And he was starching everybody, knocking them out. And all of a sudden, he comes up against Guillermo Rigondeaux. And as you know, Bush, the Cubans, they do not deviate from the script. They will sit there and wait and not throw anything at you and wait for you to come forward and press the action when everyone starts booing. And that's exactly what Nonito Donaire, another pocket, explosive, prolific counterpuncher, but not an effective aggressor. Never has been. And so he was forced to take the lead. against Guillermo Rigondeaux, because let's face it, Guillermo will stink out the joint if you allow it, because he's such a razor-sharp counterpuncher. And a lot of his opponents always was gun shy when he would get touched up, when you would get touched up with that left hand. And so it made for obviously a lot of slow moments in his fights. And Nonito, he heard the boos and unwisely went right after him and got picked apart from start to finish. Do you see Saturday night's fight playing out that way?
Yeah, but I think Taylor would be a bit more aggressive than Rigo. But for the most part, yeah, I think similar to which, yeah, it'll be pretty similar. That's actually a good comparison, I would say. That's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, you know what, man? And unfortunately, Nonito, boy, he was at the peak, apex of his popularity at that time. And you know what? And he called out Guillermo Rigondeaux, so Top Rank got him exactly what he asked for. But you know what they say about life, and especially in boxing, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And Teofimo Lopez called out Josh Taylor, wanted the big fights, wanted to fight for the lineal and IBF title right at 140. And he's going to get it. Does he still have the IBF? It's the IBF, correct?
Yeah,
or is
I
it
think,
the WBO?
I think he lost two of his belts. I don't know exactly
let
which.
me see. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is my mistake. He kept the WBO and he kept the ring. He's a lineal champion at 140. He still has that distinction. No sanctioned organization can take that away from him. This is the guys. And once again, I want to get your thoughts on this. We're going to shift gears before we continue talking about this weekend. This is such a great fight weekend, guys, and we're in for a real treat. Both with Jaime Munguia and Sergey Derevyanchenko. We're going to see if Sergey Derevyanchenko, once again, and just like I stated earlier, if he's still Sergey Derevyanchenko and he's not a shot fighter, this is by far Jaime Munguia's toughest test to date. And we're going to see, but my guess is they chose Sergey because they think he's a shot fighter. We'll find out on Saturday. But once again, the big time. And you know what? Credit to DAZN and Golden Boy Promotions for staging this fight. I think it's going to be an hour after Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor hits, right? I think it's going to be scheduled after because it's on the West Coast, right?
Yeah. It's usually on the West Coast when he fights, yeah.
Yeah, so they're scheduling this purposely at a different time than the Top Rank main event. So we should be able to see both in its entirety. That's great, guys. Oh, geez. Yeah, HLD's right. It's super WBO. We want to thank Low Clarity for joining the show. Also want to thank my brother, Punchy. Yeah. Thanks for being here, my friend. And yes, Sweet Amber's on, brother. Can you hear the pep in my voice? Once again, guys, I am so happy. I was getting really, really worried the last couple of weeks because after calling that event, my voice just wasn't recovering as quickly as I usually do. And yeah, I was a bit under the weather and yeah, it didn't sound very good. So now my voice is once again back. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, that's great.
So
dude, I was gonna say, dude, I think me personally, I feel like Derevyanchenko was shot.
Yeah.
I feel like he's shot.
That's what I'm afraid of. And this really isn't going to be nearly as competitive because once again, if he's a shot fighter, one thing that Jaime Munguia can do, well, he can crack. And he throws very creative punches, combination punches to the body and head in the pocket. And he's got one of the best chins in the division. But he likes to block punches with his face. And one of the reasons why Golden Boy Promotions, I know this for a fact, that they've held him back purposely. Once again, turning down twice, failing to answer the WBO and the opportunity to challenge Janabek Ali Manala. They turned that down twice or didn't even respond to the WBO when they were the number one contender. And obviously, they didn't take the fight with Jamal Charlo. Goldie can say whatever he wants, right? But they had the opportunity to take that fight at the 11th hour when all terms had been agreed to. Then he finally interjects DAZN have to be used in this fight. You know, they screw you, brother. You bring it up right when contracts are are revised, they're finalized, everyone's ready to sign, and then you bring up the DAZN. So, guys, the truth is, though, Jaime Munguia, everyone thought at Golden Boy that he was going to add those new wrinkles into the tutelage of all-time Mexican great warrior, Eric Morales. But it hasn't materialized that way. And dude, let's just face it, he hasn't gotten any better since the Fico Sullivan fight. He still doesn't close the distance using an intelligent jab.
You want to hear this?
Let's hear it,
I
bro.
think Eric Morales made that dude worse. Morales made that dude worse, man. Some Morales great boxer. I don't think he's a good trainer. I feel like Munguia was best when he before the Sullivan fight. I would say probably like his first after he won the title against Ali, and then he fought Liam Smith, and then you had those two fights. I know he was with Morales. I think he was with his dad for a bit and then changed. But I think around that time, I think that was when Munguia was at his best. Because and this might sound harsh, but some guys are just too dumb to learn how to box, and they're trying to teach Munguia how to box, how to jab. And I mean that's all cool and all, but I feel like at this point he's probably a really slow learner. So I think at this point, just let him do what he does, and that's just be a wild guy. He's built for it. He has the chin, he has the stamina, like all of it's there for him to be a wild guy. Just let him be what it is. I think you turning him into a patient boxer it's only going to make him worse because he's not really using his natural talent, his natural abilities. You know, I mean, in the perfect world,
no one is trying to turn him into a patient boxer. What Eric Morales was brought in to hopefully add was, once again, those defensive wrinkles that Eric Morales was so deceptively proficient at. That was something that, it's very, very overlooked because he's such a brilliant combination puncher and a very aggressive-minded, assertive guy. But he has those very deceptively crafty defensive wrinkles, and you saw it. Even possibly, and like I know he didn't get the victory in this fight, but it was very impressive. And I remember interviewing Eric Morales before this fight, and I'm referring to the Marcos Maidana outing. Yeah. Everyone was like, dude, why are you doing this? You're a legend of the sport, an all-time great, first ballot Hall of Famer. Why are you taking this fight? And he kind of looked at everyone and goes, you know what? It's not going to play out like you think it's going to. He goes, I just can't believe that you guys all, and he's talking to all the media, I can't believe all of you guys are heavily favoring this guy. I've got a lot more experience. I know I'm the naturally smaller guy, but you're going to see it's not going to play out as one-sided as you think. And once again, I feel disrespected. And it played out to be a very competitive fight. Even loss, I thought that was a very gallant and very good performance for Eric Morales. So that's why they brought him in, to try and add those new defensive wrinkles, try to add that intelligent jab. Because Eric Morales had a very good one against a very small featherweight division.
He did, but I think it's just, but I see some guys, for their reasons, just aren't good teachers, and I feel like Munguia, in his case, I just feel like he's a slow learner. I think that's what it is.
I get that feeling also with another prolific former Olympian, former champion, right? And that's Antonio Tarver. Because when you hear him talk about the fight game, he is so smart and so good. I just don't understand why a gentleman like that isn't mentoring fighters and isn't teaching that craft. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Some guys just aren't born teachers, like my man Ronnie Shields. That guy is not just one of the best teachers of the fight game. And once again, he starts guys takes them from the amateurs and builds their career. He did it to turn both Charlos from the amateurs and built them into world champions. And they're still world champions. Once again, I don't think Antonio, I think some guys are just not cut out for that. Just like Paulie Malignaggi, brilliant guy, knows the X's and O's of boxing as well as anybody, but just doesn't have the temperament and the patience and the ability to be able to relay that information to where it makes sense And you know what, Emmanuel Stewart, I used to work for him, if you don't know, for several years, and we became really good friends, and yeah, unfortunately passed away too quickly, but he taught me what made Emmanuel Stewart the best ever, in my opinion, right? The greatest trainer of all time. He said, Joseph, the key is every fighter is different. And so you have to spend time with them and understand what's going to reach them. Everyone's different, so you have to find their hot button, what's going to motivate them, what's going to reach them, how they're going to be able to process all of this information and implement in a fight. And that's what made Emmanuel so special, is that a lot of his mentoring was just spending time with them and talking, picking their brains, finding out what made them tick, and being able to teach the craft after he did that. Guys, there is no one else like Emmanuel Stewart. I think maybe ever there's going to be. But Ronnie Shields, he practices that same ideology when he is mentoring all of his talent at the Sugarland Gym in Texas. But you may be right, because I haven't seen any improvement since the Spike O'Sullivan fight. And look, let's just face it. If you say, well, he's worse, I don't know about that, brother, because in my opinion, he got beaten soundly by Dennis Hogan at 154.
Yeah.
Do you remember that in 2019?
Yeah, I remember that fight.
And dude, Dennis Hogan, he's not a bad fighter, very good fighter. But he's not great. Definitely not one of the elite. And when you get picked apart and outboxed soundly, countered effectively by a guy like Dennis Hogan, I tell you what, he's just lucky Dennis really isn't a huge puncher. But he lost that fight. Let's just be honest, guys. But I will say this, after getting beaten up for the first couple rounds against Turiano Johnson, ooh, boy, Jaime Munguia just got that pound of flesh and put his ass away. Do you remember that ugly, disgusting split lip that he had?
Yeah, man. I think the thing about Munguia, he can really turn it on. I think that guy's stamina is crazy. I mean, he has I think Munguia is one, like, when I look at physical talent, I feel like Munguia is one of the more physically talented fighters I've seen in the game today. I mean, he has everything physically you want in a boxer. He just lacks.
But he doesn't have the brain,
Yeah.
dude.
Nope.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, man. And but once again, though, he may be a late bloomer because he's only 26 years old, right? Want to welcome Outlaw, and he loves to be here to give me a hard time. Thank you for being here, my friend. If you have your headphones, hey, man, live and in person this time. Don't just confine it to the chat. And we want to welcome Bush Beer for contributing to this part of the show. And brother, if you can, come back on. We're going to be on for a little while. We've already been on for approaching an hour, and it's almost 15 minutes till midnight Central Time. But guys, once again, yeah, I've been absent. We didn't have Coach Gogi's show on Sunday because of Coach Gogi's been sick, and we had an emergency in the family. And then Monday night did get on. Tonight, I couldn't not get on to wish my brother Ronnie Shields a happy birthday. And Ronnie will be back on next Tuesday. So guys, please leave in your comments wishing our brother Ronnie a very happy birthday. And unfortunately, HLD, no, brother, he was celebrating his birthday with his family, grandkids, all of his children, and his lovely wife. Yeah. Low Clarity has the beat. Happy birthday. Yep. Thank you guys for being here for us and for Coach Ronnie specifically. Larry, listen, Taylor had problems with alcohol before as well. Yep. Once again, guys, and I hate to stereotype, but because I indulge into the drink, I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and that's not exclusive to any area, but I will say this. He is from Edinburgh, Scotland, brother. and he does love to drink. But so does Teofimo Lopez, brother. So does Teofimo Lopez. Low Clarity says, interesting point about Teo at home. I heard someone say that Lee Wood's home crowd might have gotten him a little too overconfident the first time against Lara. Made him throw caution out. Well, honestly, I thought Lee Wood was sticking to a very good game plan, and he used the same exact one in the rematch. But what? Once again, the difference, Mauricio Lara. And guys, you saw it in the first fight. He already had trouble killing himself to make the 26-pound limit in the first fight. But the difference is he wasn't a shell of himself, and it only took landing one shot. And that's all it took. Putting Lee Wood on his ass. And yeah, when he got up, he was on Bambi legs. And the referee, well, the corner decided to stop it. Guys, it's my pleasure to introduce my brother, one of the best boxing channels, one of the best boxing minds on YouTube. My brother, G Funky Boxing. G Funky, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Joe.
I tell you what, man. Hey, once again, happy birthday week to your lovely little angel.
Thank you so much. It was great. We had a great time, and I was very happy. Glad that she's 10 years old now, and yeah, I'm ready to come back, man. Big fight this weekend. Actually, a few fights, but one big fight.
I know, Adrian Broner versus Bill Hutchinson, right?
Right. Interesting to see what version of Broner comes back. We'll see, man. We'll see.
No. Obviously, that was in jest. Dude, you don't have to be nice on this show. You just be honest and tell everyone how you truly feel. Guys, let's be honest here. And once again, I brought this up. Ronnie Shields was insistent. Retiring as a young fighter in 1988 without ever winning a major world title before they were flooded with worthless trinkets. And once again, look at the difference now. Rolly Romero gets gifted a title, dumps it in the trash because he wants Ryan Garcia. They just don't mean the same to these entitled bitches these days. Ronnie Shields, a standout, an amateur standout, as a young professional fighter. Had 2 shots at a major world title. That's it. And he was jobbed in Japan. So this is a guy who, once again, still believes that titles mean something, but he retired at a very young age as a prize fighter, just saying, hey, I'm not going to allow this sport to retire me. I'm going to retire from the sport. And once again, he focused his attention and became one of the most proficient trainers in boxing. His roster reads off like a who's who, right? Some of the greatest fighters of all time. Sweet Pete Whitaker, one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time, greatest natural talents. But my point is, guys, let's be honest. Unlike Ronnie Shields, Adrian Broner is still trying to fight out of necessity. And it's impossible to feel bad for him, G Funky. I know a lot of people want to, but guys, anyone like G Funky or myself who covered this man when he turned pro, was there ringside, interviewing him when he was still a humble young man, very respectful, before he became AB, about billions. Yeah, we remember all of that. So ask me if I feel bad for him that he's still having to grind it out of necessity and no one really wants to work with him. He has now resorted to go into the island of misfit fighters, Don King Productions. Ask me if I feel bad for him. It's impossible to, guys. If you have witnessed his ascension to stardom and then his descension, well, to be completely a non-factor in this generation of boxing. Once again, guys, everything that he has accomplished, everything that he was going to accomplish in the sport of boxing, it's already happened.
Yep. It's you're right, man. It's hard to feel sorry for a guy who has to come back in his current state and fight because it's out of necessity. when the guy was throwing money down the toilet and throwing money in the air in Walmart and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know where your head is when you do things like that. Um, yeah, it's Broner hasn't been the same for a while. I mean, what would you say is his biggest win? I would have to say probably the DeMarco win. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Without a doubt. Antonio DeMarco was his only world-class impressive victory for the legitimate WBC lightweight champion. That was it. What
Yep.
did you count him winning the red belt from Paulie Malignaggi? No. That was a legitimate title, wasn't it? That was the super.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. And once again, Paulie impressively won it. I think by upsetting what is his name? I forget his name, from the Ukraine. Went to Ukraine. Upset the home fighter. Came away with the title. Brilliantly outboxed him. And you know what? And to his dismay, and once again, Paulie's a very half glass empty type of guy when he looks at the boxing business. I'm really just shocked I didn't get jobbed over there. He told me that when we spent time together, and he was calling a Showtime fight, right? But Adrian Broner won, but it wasn't decisive, wasn't overtly impressive. And he struggled because he's a counterpuncher, and all counterpunchers have problem with the herky-jerky movement of Paulie Malignaggi. It disrupts your timing and rhythm. And even though he's got quote-unquote pillow fists, no grown man, it doesn't feel good when any grown man punches you.
Right.
And that's the case with Paulie Malignaggi. It turns most counterpunchers into a reluctant version of themselves. So yes, Antonio DeMarco, in my opinion, I share yours, by far the most impressive win in his resume. So with that said, do you consider Adrian Broner to be a legitimate 4-division world champion?
Well, I mean, you kind of
and
broke
you
it
laugh,
down.
dude. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah, you kind of broke it down when you spoke about Coach Shields' career. We're in an era where just about anybody can grab a belt.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them. So, I mean, yeah, he can go around calling himself a 4-division champion and whatnot. But that Malignaggi fight, in my opinion, was very close.
Yep. In my opinion, it could have easily gone either way if Adrian Broner weren't the ticket seller back then.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then look, he lost badly in his next fight to Marcos Maidana. And that was a huge upset.
And I was there ringside, brother. Oh, woo! Boy, I tell you what, his former publicist, Radio Raheem, was right next to me, and he saw the gum. Because I always, in every event, and I like to smell fresh. I like, I'm going to be talking to a lot of people, doing interviews. And this is when I used to cover a beat writer, right? For both Eastside Boxing and FightSaga.com. And so Radio Raheem, being his publicist, is right next to me. And that guy was so nervous and freaking out so bad after Adrian Broner got floored early. He couldn't believe it. Like, you should have heard him. I thought he was going to cry. And so I had a brand new pack of extra Polar Ice, right? And he chewed every single piece of a brand new pack during that 12-round ass whooping. Honestly, after the fight, I thought he was going to cry.
A lot of people were, Joe. And, the funny thing is, there was a lot of people that are here in the YTBC today. They weren't around at that time. Nobody was picking Chino Maidana to win this fight. I mean,
oh boy, I tell you what.
You should have heard the way that these guys were talking about this fight.
Like,
Joe.
he's the next Floyd Mayweather. Yep.
Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, man. I mean, they were like, there's no chance in hell that Broner loses to this guy. He's going to make easy work of him. And I mean, it was really sickening. They didn't give him a chance at all. I'm thinking a guy with the kind of punching power that Maidana has, who has shown some improvement under Robert Garcia at the time.
Yeah, but and once again, to a guy who's deep amateur background, amateur standout like AB, right? You're not used to seeing guys that throw punches from weird angles like Marcos Maidana. It's very unorthodox.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, Alexis Arguello had that problem. Once again, I'm not comparing AB to Alexis Arguello. No. Just make that clear right now. But the problem he had with Aaron Pryor, some guys who are textbook technicians and amateur standouts, very smart fighters, they're not used to, they don't adapt well when they're faced with someone who's has a very unorthodox, consistent, two-fisted attack, throwing punches from very weird angles. And that's what AB, and once again, I was at the gym all week at the TNB gym in San Antonio where Adrian was working out all day, like all week long. And I noticed during some just warm up, during some light pad work with Mike Stafford, I said, I've noticed, I said, I've been watching tape. I was talking to Rick Morones, the trainer back then, and now he's one of the most prolific promoters in Texas. And he also does some matchmaking whenever they stage events in Mexico and Texas for Matchroom. And so I was telling Rick, I said, Rick, AB, prolific counterpuncher, combined speed with power, but I've noticed defensively, he depends on being flat-footed because he combines speed with power. And one, it sacrifices volume. That's going to be a problem against Marcos Maidana. And two, most importantly, brother, if he forgets to lean back trying to implement the Philly shell, and once again, he loves his offense, so he often sacrifices his defense by remaining flat-footed and forgetting to lean back in the Philly shell defense, right? And I said, that will be a problem against Marcos Maidana. And he goes, no, man, no. And, this is Rick Morones, trainer, telling me this. No, man, he's going to be fine. He looks sharp, man. I'm like, I think it's going to be a problem. And sure as shit, Rick Morones was his special guest in his corner. Not his chief second to Mike Stafford, but he was helping him, right? And he couldn't believe it. And he texted me during the fight saying this one thing, and I'll never forget this. Damn you, Joseph.
Yeah. And I see some people going back to the Ponce de Leon fight. Yeah, I think De Leon won that fight. And surprisingly, all three judges had it for Broner, and one judge only gave Ponce de Leon one round.
I know. Oh my
Jesus
gosh.
Christ.
Yeah, I remember that vividly, brother. Hold on, brother, and forgive me, Coffee and Boxing. I still hope you're with us. Forgive me. When I'm on the air by myself, and I'm doing the bulk of the talking, which I have been, and thank you, G Funky, for joining me. But yeah, for pretty much the bulk of the show, I've been like a machine gun from start to finish, just running at the mouth. So my apologies for overlooking this. But shout out to our brother Coffee and Boxing for the $1.99 super chat. He asks, what's the update on Canelo, Joseph? Well, I will say this, what I know, and I wrote an article about it on Boxing News 24, basically saying, and I told you guys this was going to happen. You remember a couple weeks ago, G, when I did my rant against the Eastern European fighters, that they're no better than the Americans that they often and regularly criticize? Oh, we care about legacy. We care about, the resumes and fighting the best, bullshit. When you guys start making inflated purses, you are no better than anyone else, and you think about money exclusively. We just saw Alexander Usyk sign with the Saudis for that reason, because he cannot sell out my living room on a Saturday night and is a non-ticket seller everywhere. And I told you how the purse bid was going to play out, and it did. Once again, guys, that's our forte on this show, is the business of boxing. And I told everyone, listening to Vadim Kornilov, the manager of Dimitri Bivol talk, we tried to make a deal with but it wasn't a serious offer. We tried to sit down and make a fight with Jaime Munguia, but it wasn't a serious offer. We tried to sit down with Callum Smith's people, but it wasn't a serious offer. I'm like, oh no, this guy is going to talk his way out of the Canelo rematch, because now, after receiving 2 inflated purses, he has an inflated sense of worth that isn't accurate of his realistic market value.
Right.
And so guess what? Oh, come on. You know, hold on. Let me pull up the article so I can read you the quote. Right? It's absurd, brother. Oh boy, dude, it is absurd, right? Now I need to pull up your thoughts right now while I find this quote, brother. And do you think, because from what I've heard from both parties, right? Canelo isn't budging, and he's very wise to. He says, look, dude, Junior, I don't know what you think you accomplished. You got a decision and retain your title at 175. And you have a victory over me, but I don't know what you think you gained. Did you magically turn into a ticket seller after that? Are you the A side against anyone in the States who can actually sell tickets and is a marquee attraction? No, and no. So I don't know who you think you are that you can demand $10 million, 50-50 split. You are high on. Call the shots against me, brother. I'm still the breadwinner. I'm still one of the biggest draws, if not still the biggest draw in North America. And who are you?
Right. No, I agree. I agree that.
Who are you?
Yeah. You might have got the win, but you definitely are not the guy that's going to get to call the shots in the negotiations with Canelo Alvarez. That's not going to happen.
So what's ridiculous, once again, tells you Yeah, hold on, guys. I'm gonna have to switch to my hotspot, guys. Hold on. Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
You can hear me now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you? Okay, very good. Yes, I can hear you. It said my Wi-Fi was on the blink, and I don't think you could hear me for a couple seconds. But yeah, let me pull it up. And once again, guys, our forte is the business of boxing. Before this ever started negotiations, I told you exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to play out and what Bevel's reaction was going to be. Once again, I'm going to read a little bit of the article to you guys. And once again, you can see it in video form on our channel. I published it on Saturday before I had some family business. And I started the article this way.
Did you go out again, Joe?
Paying out inflated purses to prize fighters makes it virtually impossible to make the best fights a reality. Once again, he got a career high payday, Bevel, against Canelo Alvarez. And then he gets another inflated purse from the Saudis, or from the Middle East. It was in Abu Dhabi, right? Where he fought Zurdo Ramirez, right? Another inflated purse.
Right.
Okay. And so he's going in this negotiation. Yeah, I've got the victory. You know, I can call the shots. I've got some leverage. In what planet do you have leverage against the biggest earner over the past half decade in boxing? The business does not cease to exist because you want it to. Now, this is what Vadim Kornilov had to say, right? Once again, I've known Vadim, a very good guy, straight shooter. You always know where you stand. He never pulls any punches, and he's been this way ever since I met him when he was his manager and also interpreter for Ruslan Provodnikov, right? former welterweight champion. Or was it junior welterweight? Welterweight or junior welterweight? He was champion.
Oh man,
He beat Mike Alvarado in Denver, and that's when
That
I first met those guys.
yeah, it was junior.
Yeah, that was a 140, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I first met him. So I've known him for a while. He said this. And I was happy to break the news to all of you guys if you read my article early Saturday morning. You know, it's obvious they don't want a rematch. They know that they lost very badly in the first fight, and that they have even less a chance of winning in the second fight. When have you ever heard a fighter who, after losing, asks for a rematch on the same terms? That does not happen in boxing. And in my opinion, they're not serious. They're just not serious about a rematch. They're playing games and are really interested in making another fight with, in my opinion, they're probably going to make a fight with Edgar Berlanga. A rematch cannot take place with the same terms as the fight you lost. That's just stupid, Joseph. We are looking forward now to a fight with Arthur Beterbiev as our target. End quote.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that fight's going to happen either because the WBC.
Once again, in Kornloff's words, G. No, we tried sitting down with him, but it's not a serious offer. Once again, brother, you better be thankful for the offers that you are getting, because you got to taste of some long green in your last two fights. But unless you magically become a ticket seller or sign with the Saudis, just like your brother Alexander Usyk, right? Your Ukrainian brother, then in what universe are you going to be a big attraction? Now, let me ask you, G, and once again, to the defense of Dimitri Bivol, he is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in sport, not taking anything away from him. But give me, aside from the Klitschko's, where a Russian-born or Ukrainian-born fighter becomes a big, big ticket-selling attraction anywhere else in the world, besides, of course, the Klitschko's in Germany, who were rock stars. But that never happens. That's an anomaly. Who else?
I can't think of one, to be quite honest with you.
That's it, guys. And once again, to his defense, Klitschko's are an anomaly. If you're hoping to become a Klitschko, let's just face it, they were big ticket sellers in Germany, weren't all that popular in the States, even though HBO tried their damnedest to make them that way.
Yeah. Well, I actually enjoyed watching Vitaly fight. Vitaly,
yes.
Not so much. That guy.
Or Vladimir. Yeah.
Vladimir. Yeah. Not a. I mean, too much holding for me, man. You guys know.
You know how I feel.
Not
about
a fan
that,
of that.
So here I'm going to read, and I want to get your final thoughts on this and what you think is going to happen, guys. As soon as I find out more information, I will let you know as soon as it happens by publishing an article and make it in video form on this channel. So please hit the like button and hit the subscription button if you haven't already, so you can stay up to date on everything that I report. And I will say this, dude, fight fans right now. And well, I'm gonna go on a rant in a bit. Let's finish with this, right? Let's stay on point. Stay focused, Joseph. Don't let Sweet Amber get to you, brother. So, unfortunately, Kornloff seems to be overestimating his fighter's market value and leverage while negotiating a potential rematch with one of boxing's biggest earners. In boxing, deals are often made by following the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules and dictates the terms of the agreement. That's the absolute truth when it comes to the business of boxing, isn't it, G?
Yep.
Oh, once again, that's great that you have that WBA title. That's great that you got that decisive, impressive victory over Canelo Alvarez at the time, the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing. It was a consensus at the time. In fact, most people thought he was unbeatable, and it was getting absurd. You brought up Adrian Broner, that talk surrounding the Madonna fight. It was getting eerily similar before the Bivol fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So, while a second bout with Alvarez could equate to another career-high payday for the Russian-born champion and undoubtedly his biggest money option at this time. Canelo Alvarez, let's face it, guys, could realistically make much bigger money fighting the interim super middleweight WBC title holder David Benavidez. Guys, and if you want to know my opinion, out of necessity and just my knowledge of the business, that is exactly what we're going to get. So later this year, we should be thanking Dimitri Bivol for being an idiot and pricing himself out. Because not only are we going to get Canelo versus Dave Benavidez, but we're all wait for it, guys. If Arthur Beterbiev doesn't grow overnight, and once again, he is 38, and if he beats Callum Smith, we are going to get it out of necessity. Dimitri Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev, because who else is he going to make decent numbers, a decent purse after, once again, suffering from what I call the Terrence Crawford Club, in which you're not a big ticket seller and you've grown accustomed to getting paid inflated purses and you start pricing yourself out, he's going to be on the shelf. And so out of necessity, G, are you ready for this? He's going to make the undisputed unified clash with Arthur Beterbiev a reality. And Bob Arum is going to say, hey, you know what? I love DAZN. We're going to be happy to feature our guy on DAZN. Yep. Brace it. Brace for it, guys. It's going to happen. So I don't know this for sure, guys, but if I had to guess, once again, everything I know about the business, we are going to get Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez because it's the biggest money he can make. Also, a factor attributing to this is DAZN is not having a warm fuzzy after the disappointing failure of a pay-per-view with John Ryder. Once again, it would have been better off putting that fight in the UK where it actually does some decent numbers. But instead, you bring John Ryder in Mexico, who's a virtual unknown in North America. No one knows who he is, really, except diehard fight fans, and they're not paying for shit right now. And then you stage the fight in the high altitude, the mountains of Mexico, where no major media outlet is going to cover that fight. And then you want to charge everyone premium dollars for that? Mm-hmm. So from what I was told, it did only 200,000 purchases, brother.
Yeah.
So DAZN, they're having second thoughts of funding this very expensive Canelo versus Bivol anyway. So out of necessity, Canelo being a free agent and being his own boss, once again, guys, reminding you, he who has the gold makes the rules. Right now, Canelo has the gold, but he's not going to have it very much longer if he continues fighting non-attractions who the fans can't rally around, right? They're not going to gravitate towards a rematch with Bivol. No. DAZN is having cold feet. Guys, we're going to get it later this year, September. Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. Mark my words.
Yeah, I believe so too, man. And when I spoke with Samson Lukowitz in person at the Showbox card I was at in April,
great interview, by the way, brother.
I appreciate that. Yeah, he just basically said, look, we've got plans. I guess you could say a quote unquote gentleman's agreement with Morrell to possibly fight next. If the Canelo fight doesn't happen, but he said that Canelo is the goal. We're his mandatory. We want that fight. It's the biggest fight that could be made in the division. And it's the most money that Canelo can make with anybody. He's got options. Bivol can kick rocks, if he doesn't want to fight Canelo again at 175. That's just the reality of it,
Yep.
Yeah, he beat him decisively. I agree with his manager, but at the end of the day, that doesn't do anything for your market value. It just doesn't.
Nope. Once again, the real bosses of boxing. Once again, it's not like other sports, guys. In other sports, you see a guy have a career high year in terms of stats. Boy, he gets paid accordingly. He renegotiates his contract and he becomes one of the highest players in the league. That's the way all of the other sporting leagues work. Boxing, it's run just like the music industry or the motion picture industry, in which, you know what? It's based on your ability to put asses in seats. That's it.
Yeah.
That determines everything, guys. So once again, think about that, guys. Next time you're on the, teetering at the idea of purchasing a pay-per-view or streaming it illegally, because what you guys do and that little button you press determines everything in this business. And this year, we're seeing all of these great matchups. You've got to start contributing, even if you're not going to purchase all of them. Purchase the ones that you really want to see. Crawford Spence, Canelo Benavidez, right?
Yes.
Beterbiev Bivol. No. Look, I'm going to pull up this matchup, right? HLD. And once again, thank you for the super chat, Coffee and Boxing. Great moniker, by the way. Two of my favorite things in life, right? Yeah, right? Especially when you get to be my age.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reason why I'm still very coherent and focused, even though I've finished half a bottle of my JD, brother. Because I've been drinking the coffee because once again, I haven't gotten very much sleep lately. It's just a family thing. I won't go into it. I'll tell you off the air, G. But
Sure.
So yes, I'm going to be writing in the wee hours after this show. And yeah, I just made myself a pot of coffee before this program. Coffee and Boxing. Nothing else like it. But HLD, welcome to the show, sir. And once again, we always appreciate your opinion. He said, Bob Arum was never interested in Bivol versus Beterbiev since before the Ukraine-Russia war. No money. You are absolutely right about there being no money for one of the best fights in boxing, in my opinion. If this gets made, it will be the best matchup that you can put together in boxing. And once again, dare I say, better than Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. In my opinion, this one is the best matchup. And you're right, it's sinful that there's no money attached to it. Neither guy's a ticket seller. Where are you going to put this fight? In Quebec?
I might do well there.
No. This is what I think is going to happen, G. And once again, I want you to tell me, be the soothsayer and tell me what you think is going to happen after I give you my theory. No, once again, Bob Arum was never bullshit. Bob Arum is always interested in making money. And dude, he's not going to make any money with Arthur Beterbiev anywhere, even in Quebec. And this guy's already 38 years old. So once again, if Eddie Hearn, DAZN, if they throw at least $3 or $4 million at him and agree to stage the fight in Quebec while airing the fight on DAZN, Bob Arum will jump at the chance. And here's why. If it's an Eddie Hearn promotion, top rank, well, they stand to make 25% of the purse without doing a damn thing.
Yep.
So what happens if they throw, let's say, $4 million at Arthur Beterbiev to have the fight on DAZN? That means Bob Arum makes a cool million by not doing a damn thing.
Yeah, I think.
But just giving them his graces to be able to stage that fight on their promotion, on their network, and just furnish them with his fighter. Hey, You know what? I love DAZN. Did I ever? I think it was Al Heyman who called it the Dark Zone back then. That wasn't me. I love DAZN. I love you guys. You know what? And you guys are going to have a great fight. And bam, he just deposits $1 million in his account for doing absolutely nothing. So once again, HLD, that's not true, brother. Bob Arum is all about making money. And if he can make money by not doing a damn thing, yeah, he's going to do it. Your thoughts, G? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, that's a strong possibility because like you said, who the hell is Bivol going to fight right now? It's looking like it's Canelo's going to go the Benavidez route, which is great because that's a huge fight. I mean, we need huge fights. This has been a tremendous year of big fights, and with that possibly being going to happen, yeah, who the hell is Bivol going to fight? He's been on the shelf since November. We're already halfway through this year, which is crazy to say, but yeah, we're already halfway through the year, and there has been nothing for Bivol, nothing except for
Mm-mm.
possibly rematching Canelo again. But he's not budging. He wants it at 168. He wants to dictate terms, and that's just not going to happen. So, I mean, it's a good possibility that it does go to DAZN if Bob doesn't want to put up the money for the fight and have it on ESPN. Put it in Quebec. Who knows? They could draw a decent crowd there. But it's a fantastic fight, man. It's a fantastic matchup. And these are, no doubt about it, two of the best light heavyweights in the world, and every single belt's on the line. I mean, what more could you ask for,
Absolutely, brother. It's the irresistible force against the immovable. Well, the movable object, the very, what's the word I'm looking for? The very nimble object, right? This is, now, once again, this is a fight that's going to end in just two ways. There's only two ways that this fight could end. One, there's no way in hell Arthur Beterbiev wins a decision, even at home. Okay, he's either going to get outboxed, right? Or it ends in a brutal knockout, a la Gvostic, where Bivol's winning the fight, boxing beautifully, controlling range, well, until he isn't. And then he gets flattened. That's the only two ways I see that fight playing out. Am I wrong, G?
No, I'm right there with you, man. That's what makes this fight so interesting. And I really think that, I mean, most people that know what they're looking at can see that Beterbiev is a great boxer, man.
Oof.
Great skills, man. There's a lot of, you'd be surprised, a lot of the stupid things I hear about this guy, that he's just a dumb brawler and he's flat-footed.
No. He fought a dumb brawler, but a very tough, heavy-handed one in Joe Smith Jr.
Right.
Did you see the difference in that fight?
Yeah. The skill gap was tremendous. You've seen it. That's why he got him out of there in 2 rounds. The timing is impeccable of Beterbiev. His technique on his punches, I mean, it's a thing of beauty. The short shots,
compact, crispy. Now, when you hear fighters and trainers talk about they're crisp, that's Arthur Beterbiev, guys. Yes. Short, compact, and crisp in the pocket. Creative combination punching to the body and head. Very difficult to anticipate. And once he finds range, G-Funky, it's all over, brother. No opponent has yet to see the final bell against Arthur Beterbiev as a professional.
Right. Yep.
Can Bivol be the first?
I mean, I haven't really sat down and really thought about it too heavy, but just knowing both guys' styles, I know it's going to be a tremendous matchup. Man, it's a tough fight to predict. Not gonna lie. Now that we're sitting here talking about it, and I'm thinking more and more about it, it's tough, man, because Bivol is tremendous at controlling range. He's got an excellent jab. His defense is phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great
what
matchup.
I'm saying. This is the best fight that you can make in boxing.
Yep. Great
in
fight.
my opinion. Because once again, guys, just like Spence Crawford, can you imagine, G-Funky? Can you imagine? Now, once again, these guys have been able to impose their will and their strategy against every single opponent that they faced, including Canelo Alvarez. Can you imagine either man not being able to impose his will against his opponent? Because we're going to see one if they fight later on this year. And I'm telling you guys, with great confidence, This is going to happen, guys. And you know what? We should send all Dimitri Bivol a nice thank you card for being so stupid and turning down another career high payday against the biggest star in North America. Hallelujah, brother. Thank you for being a product of receiving inflated purses and thinking that you're worth a lot more than you are.
Yeah,
Thanks
way
for
to
playing,
take one
brother.
for the team.
Woo!
He took
Very
one
well
for the
said,
team.
my friend. Very well said, my friend. He's a team player. We love him. Just like Bobby. Hey, we love that fight, guys. We love the zone. Now look, guys, our last segment on this show, and once again, I wrote an article about it on Friday or Thursday, one of those, breaking the news that, yes, I knew for a fact, and once again, from a very, very reliable source, that all of this poppycock, that Tyson Fury was the culprit and the fly in the ointment that kiboshed the deal for Wembley Stadium on April 29th. I've been telling you guys, no. Alexander Usyk, and I know this for a fact, is another Eastern European that's a product of receiving an inflated purse from the Middle Easterners. And he couldn't sell out my living room on a Saturday. And I said, you guys are going to see it play out when this goes to purse bid. Frank Warren is one of the smartest promoters in boxing, and he's a Hall of Famer. I was like, yeah, dude, Frank Warren is licking his chops. He's going to show them, teach them a lesson in Promotions 101 and show Alexander Usyk his realistic market value when it goes to purse bid. And guess what happened? So anyway, I ended the Canelo Dimitri Bivol article with this. The Russian native would ironically join his Ukrainian brother, Alexander Usyk, in becoming the second consecutive Eastern European champion to turn down their biggest current money option, respectively. Usyk walked away from a deal with Tyson Fury back in March that was all but done, according to not only Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren, but also all but done, I put in quotes because it was the exact words from Alex Krysyuk. That's Alexander Usyk's promoter. Okay? So once again, if a deal is all but done, why would you walk away and make a demand like 70-30 split and walk away from the fight that's all but done based on a rematch clause? And why would you hold when you can't sell tickets? Why would you stand firm on a 70-30 split your way against one of the biggest attractions in boxing?
Crazy talk. That's what we say
funny,
there.
Dude.
Crazy talk, man. I mean, it seems like to me, Lomachenko is the only dude who's really about legacy when it comes to these guys. That was the narrative,
Yep.
you know, like, oh, they're all about the Ukrainians and the European fighters are all about legacy. No, that's not true. And look, Lomachenko's a guy. Yeah, Loma's a guy who's yes, sir.
Has he ever made Dimitri Bivol or Alexander Usyk money?
No.
Well, then you know what? He may be a legacy guy now, because if he gets a Gervonta Davis fight, which, guys, from what I've been told, that's a distinct possibility. Lomachenko, once again, you're going to hear it come out. He's on the very short list of opponents for Gervonta Davis once he gets out of the clink. Oh, that had to hurt.
Ooh.
He's in the who's gown now, baby. What the hell was he thinking? Well, again, we're going to end the show with that very briefly, right? But we'll stay on point, guys. Once again, this is the words of Frank Warren. And once again, you're giving Lomachenko too much credit. He just hasn't been, he didn't get paid $40 million in his last fight like Usyk did from the Middle Easterners, right? From the Saudis. And guys, to prove my point and to prove everyone's point that was insisting that Tyson Fury wasn't the culprit this time, yes, he may be a loudmouth, abrasive pain in the ass, but he was not responsible for kiboshing the Wembley Stadium deal on April 29th. Okay? Once again, Lomachenko, yeah, he hasn't tasted that kind of money. Most lightweights haven't. Gervonta Davis is an anomaly, right?
Right.
But
guys
Bevel,
don't sell like that down there.
no. But this is what Frank Warren had to say, and I told you guys this. And he's been very consistent this whole time, and no one believed him. But what I want to know, G, is why, and I'll give you the opportunity to share your thoughts as to why you think just everyone started laying the wood and believed Alexander Usyk when he said these absurd things, greedy belly. Okay? Once again, it turns out that Alexander Usyk is all about getting that fat, inflated purse because he just signed a deal with the prince of Saudi Arabia. Why else would he? Well, because he likes that big, fat, inflated purse, and he's not a ticket seller anywhere. There's only one reason why anyone would sign with the prince in Saudi Arabia, right? Skills challenge, right? So this is what Frank Warren said, and I've been telling you guys this the whole time. He said, quote, there were only a few items that needed to be worked out, but they really didn't want the fight at this time exclusively because of the money. And, I can't blame him. That's a smart move. Usyk stood to make, say, $15 million fighting Tyson Fury at Wembley Stadium, which is a good number. But if you go another route and then wait to fight Tyson Fury in the wintertime in Saudi Arabia, you can make somewhere realistically between $50 and $60 million. So I can't blame them for doing what they did, but make no mistake, it wasn't the greed of Tyson Fury. It was the greed of Alexander Usyk. End quote. So, G, why is everyone casting aspersions at the Gypsy King? You think it's just his mouth? He's an easy guy to hate?
Yeah, that's really what it is, man. A lot of boxing fans, they allow what these fighters say to kind of dictate a lot of things, especially when it comes to making a pick on a fight. Instead of looking at styles, they'll just, oh, well, this guy said this, so I don't like him now. I mean, look, that's why I always keep my emotions out of it when it comes to these things, and, think, you got to calculate in your head. You can't just think off of emotions, man. And I think that's the problem with people. Well, I should say most people in Tyson Fury is they don't like his attitude. They don't like the things that he says. But there's no doubt that he would take the fight with Usyk. I don't think he's ducking like a lot of these guys say.
I honestly, it makes me cringe when I hear fans consistently use the ducking term like it's a real thing within the business of boxing. Right. Guys, come on. Reality within the business. Ducking is a fan-driven concept that doesn't exist within the business of boxing. Dude, if it financially makes sense for all parties involved, it's going to happen. These guys are fearless and would step in the ring with Godzilla. They're fighters. They're warriors. Do you really think they fear a guy who they've more than likely already competed against in the amateurs or sparred with?
Right. Yeah. That's a hard thing to get into boxing fans' head, man. Really hard. I even try to use real life situations to explain it to people, right? Like I drive for a living, right? I'm a commercial driver. I'm a commercial license, so that means that I had to go through hours of training, not just behind the wheel, but training to take multiple tests to get multiple endorsements, to drive these kind of vehicles. By the time you get through with training, like you're a well-oiled machine, you got full control of that vehicle. And that's like me going into work one day, right? And they say, hey, you know what? You've been driving this route. Why don't you take this route today? And I'm like, nah, you know what? I don't want to drive that route. I'm scared, I'm scared to drive that route today. No, they train you to drive in every situation, man. I'm like, go, whatever, let's go. it's it's silly, man. It's what these guys do for a living. They fight for a living. These guys train. And again, anyone has ever spent any time around these fighters know how confident these guys are. They never think they're going to lose a fight, ever. And yeah, it just doesn't exist, man.
Yeah, dude. And look, Adam, I read your last comment. One that's inappropriate. I'm not going to put it on the board, but guys duck because they don't want to get knocked out. Look, if a fighter genuinely believes he's going to get knocked out, that means he's more than likely going to retire because dude, who goes into a major fight not brimming with confidence, not thinking that you're going to win? When does that ever happen, brother?
Never.
That's fantasy land. That is, no, once again, listen to this. Yes, they do. Chingao, dude. Look. Even guys at the club level that are brought in to be opponents for a big promoter superstars on ESPN, they still do that too. Understanding. Yeah, I'm probably in over my head, but I don't care, man. I love this. I love being flown into Vegas, loves getting a paid vacation at the casino. And yeah, man, I think they're underestimating me. I think they picked on the wrong guy. They genuinely feel no one goes into a fight thinking that he's going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That is one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard. Who wants to fight Wilder? Look, if he were worth more money, if he were a bigger ticket seller and attraction, and if he weren't demanding so much, once again, another product of receiving terribly inflated. Now, once again, hold on. If you listen, I'm going to explain the business to you, my friend. Now, once again, before he retired, I said, no, he's not going to come back. If he comes back, well, he's going to quickly retire once again. Because for those 2 final fights with Tyson Fury, did you realize how much he made from inflated purses from Fox and ESPN?
Crazy. He made a crazy amount of money.
$45 million in 2 fights. So do you really think he's going to be okay with fighting Andy Ruiz for $3 million? Going through another grueling camp, getting his ass whooped, and getting that brutal work in during an extensive 6 to 8 week camp. And then facing one of the most explosive heavyweights in the division right now, former champion Andy Ruiz Jr. Do you really think Deontay is going to be okay with that?
No, yeah, it's because they're scared, man. You know,
scared of not being able to pay their bills. That's about it. No. Once again, guys, this talk about everyone fears. No, dude. These guys would not be prize fighters if. Now, once again, did you listen to any of G Funky's great, accurate analogy? Because it says it all. So, guys, you're living in fantasy land if you truly believe this nonsense. Hey, did you hear that Deontay Wilder's fighting Paul Bunyan next? That's what you guys sound like. No. Once again, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Listen up, brother. Once again, we appreciate you being here, being a part of the show. And now that we're reading your comments, Adam, you are officially a part of tonight's show. Thank you for that, man. So, once again, here's a very simple lesson of the business of boxing. Paying out, and Don Chargan taught me this, and he was right about everything. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, promoter and matchmaker of all time. Knew everything about the business, and he taught me everything about the business. That's why we have this show called W.A.W Radio. It's an homage to my greatest mentor and the guy who taught me everything. He said, Promotions 101, Joseph, paying out inflated purses to prize fighter never ends well for the health of the sport because it makes it virtually impossible to put together the best fights after that.
Yep.
Brother, when's the last time you seen Keith Thurman fight?
I was just going to say Keith Thurman.
Another product of the PBC inflated purses when they had all that big Watt Ellen Reed money. Where's he been now? And I'll
Yep.
tell you why. Unlike the music and motion picture industry, where you see guys like Bruce Willis, Nicolas Cage, who were huge box office draws, and they were two of the highest paid actors at one time, 20, 30 years ago. Now, they're fine with understanding the market and saying, you know what, my market value just isn't that high. So I'm going to make as many stupid, unwatchable movies as I can just to pay for my mansion, pay for my lifestyle. And actors and musicians are fine with that because they still get to do what they love. But prize fighters, do you really? And once again, the difference between actors, musicians, and prize fighters, actors and musicians, they're not taking punches to the face for less money. It's very difficult to convince a prize fighter after he's gotten tasted the good life and made that long green. It's impossible to convince them to do the same exact thing, put their body through hell for a fraction of what they've become used to making. They will retire instead.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that up there. Once again, Adam, why hasn't he gotten a fight yet then?
That's why.
Does that answer your question?
Yep. He's going to be out for probably over a year before he gets back in the ring again. And look what that's going to do to him. He's out of his prime now. He's been brutally beat up twice by Tyson Fury. Then he got a half a round in against Hellenius. Like, he's only hurting himself, man. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. He's not gonna take anything less now. And look, I hope that they do get this thing going in Saudi Arabia because I am still interested in a Wilder versus Joshua matchup. I still want to see that. It's not as hot as it was, 5-6 years ago, but I'll take it. Still think it's a good matchup, and I still want to see who wins it. So
it's a great matchup, brother. But once again, the Saudis paying out these absurd purses.
Crazy.
It is so bad for the health of the sport. And they're trying to corner the market, attract the biggest talent, and stage all of the biggest matchups exclusively in Saudi. And that's not good for the health of the sport. One, it gets fighters getting used to receiving these absurd purses that don't exist anywhere else, not realistic anywhere else. And two, oh, geez. Dude, it's in Saudi Arabia. I'd rather go out to New York City, LA, Las Vegas, anywhere in America to see a prize fight. You're taking the fight out of the mainstream audience's reach.
Yep.
Guys, one of the things I love about covering and being a proponent and a ring announcer and commentator for regional and club shows, because that's the grassroots. That's what makes new fans of boxing on the daily, on a regular basis. Without the club and regional shows, you don't make new fans.
Yep.
Look, all of the new fans to boxing, the Gen Zers, they watch shit like Jake Paul, KSI, whoever the hell that is. Dude, I hear mainstream guys talking about, dude, are you going to go to Dallas? Are you going to cover the Jake Paul, Nate Diaz fight? I'm like, hell no.
For what?
That's the only new fans that are being made right now.
Yep.
So once again, guys, dude, Saudi Arabia, them trying to pay through the nose, absurd, exorbitant purses is so bad for the health of the sport. Everyone then is going to want to fight in Saudi Arabia, even if they can't sell tickets. And that's what you're getting with Usyk. And once again, guys, be logical. There's only one reason why he would sign with the prince in Saudi Arabia, because he can't sell tickets anywhere. And he got a taste of that fat long green in the rematch with Anthony Joshua.
Yep.
That's it. So I'm sorry, as you were, my friend.
No, I agree, man. Like the OJ said, man, money, 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 money is the reason why he took that deal over there in Saudi, not legacy. Like these guys,
Oh gosh.
it's all about the legacy, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, guys, okay. At the end of the day, all these guys want to get paid. Okay. Yeah, some of them care about their legacy more than others, but yeah, at the end of the day, they all want to get paid. So let's just stop the nonsense.
Yeah, guys, come on. Once again, fans. And this is what I can't understand about fans. And boy, when I printed some very unpopular news items, contrary to all of the mythical bullshit that they've been spewing over the last several months. Oh, I got lambasted on the forums and Boxing News 24. Oh, this guy's such a biased. Oh, he's not a real writer, blah, blah. No. Brother, this is news and this is factual. It's just not what you've grown accustomed to regurgitating. The boxing vomit that comes out of your mouth on the daily. Brother, you're living in fantasy land. Do you ride a unicorn to work also?
Yeah, these big channels here, man, really mess up a lot of things, man. They come out here and fans think that because they see, 20,000 subs, 30, 40, 50, that, oh, this must be the real deal, like, no, none of these guys don't know fucking shit. Okay. Trust me. And a lot of this shit, a lot of those numbers you see are fake. Trust me, guys.
Well, I will say this, brother, and the subscribers that they do have. And once again, I always take my hat off to our War Week Radio extended family. You guys are among the most intelligent fight fans on YouTube. And I'm very proud of you guys. And it's my hat's off to you. Same with G Funky's channel. You always see very intelligent responses, very insightful commentary. Like my brother Larry Liston right here. Great fight fan, among the smartest and insightful on YouTube, guys. I'm proud to consider him a Warwick Radio family member. He says, guys, once you've been paid that money, you usually would want to have the same kind of payday, or else your pay goes down in general. It's the same with Tyson Fury. Yes, very insightful. Another product of receiving plays of inflated purses. Remember, he was in those same two fights with Deontay Wilder. And that's why he's become such a pain in the ass to negotiate. Now, once again, as I do recognize, he is a colossal pain in the ass now. Because once again, he's arguably the best heavyweight in the world. Well, you can make a case for Usyk being the best fighter on the planet as well. That's debatable. But, damn, man, he's become a colossal pain in the ass. And very difficult to negotiate with. But he's not to blame for this last deal falling apart. That's Usyk. Walked away because of a rematch clause. Yep. So once again, yeah, and he's a colossal pain in the ass because one, he believes he's the best, like most fighters do. And two, he's grown accustomed in 3 fights, brother. 2 fights with Wilder, 1 fight with Dillian White, made almost 100 million rock.
Yep.
Oh boy. Now, once again, he's in a pickle. Does he wait it out and wait to fight Alexander Usyk in the winter? Or does he have an interim fight? And who do you think that's going to be? Because once again, are we looking at Deontay Wilder 4? God, is it going to be Deontay Wilder? Because right now, he's the #1 contender in the WBC in the heavyweight division.
And that is absurd.
And with both guys being products of inflated purses, dude, no one's going to want to cover that fight, pay for that fight, promote that fight, stage it. So WBC can mandate all they want. Doesn't mean it's going to materialize. Everyone has to agree, and a promoter and a network ultimately has to pay for it. Guys, with the amount of money that they're going to be looking for, that's going to be a massive, colossal money pit. Tell you what, if they put on number 4, well, like our family says, brother, it's going to be 4-5, Sinko, and go right down the money drain. Cuatro cinco. Did I just say that on the air? Chinga. But that's it, guys. 4 in the toilet. So, guys, don't expect that to be made anytime soon. And obviously, Andy Ruiz wants too much money to fight Tyson Fury. So what are they going to do? Are they going to wait? Or are they going to find an interim opponent? I have an idea. I want to hear yours first.
I like the Zhang fight. I really hope that fight gets made. I think it's interesting. And he's got the size, he's got the power, and he's very skilled, man. I think he could compete with Fury. It's an interesting fight. I would love to see it.
I would love to see it as well. Unfortunately, I was wrong. I will say this, and I will admit when I was wrong in the business. I could have sworn that this was going to happen. And did you ever interview the Lane brothers?
No, I'm still working on that. Terry agreed to come on, but they were in the middle of negotiations with Tyson Fury, and I'm assuming that there's still talks because
well, look.
We'll see.
Oh, I'm sorry. As you were, keep going, sir.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm assuming that they're still in talks with the Fury team because we haven't heard an announcement or anything. But hopefully we can get him on sometime this week, man. I'm hoping, or next week.
Well, I will
it's
say
gonna be
this,
a great
brother.
interview.
Yeah, it will be a great interview. Once again, great guys, very honest, and yeah, very forthcoming and very knowledgeable of the business. Once again, related to the late great Judge Mills Lane.
That's right.
And look. This may be a good or bad thing. Most of the time, when a party uncustomarily declines an interview with anyone, doesn't want to talk on social media, that means, oh boy, and I'm afraid of this. I would love to see Tyson Fury Zhilei Zhang. But unfortunately, and I could have sworn that it would play out differently. You remember our conversation when I said, well, this is just a smart, savvy move from Frank Warren and the juggernaut, Joe Joyce. You've got a rematch clause, but you know what? Take some step-aside money. Allow Zhilei Zhang versus Tyson Fury to fight.
Yep.
The last impression that I got from George Warren, when I was getting, oh shit, I wasn't supposed to say that. When I got the skinny of the Tyson Fury kibosh, right? Alexander Usyk bullshit. They're going through with that fight against Zhilei Zhang, the immediate rematch, dude. I could have sworn that he would be smart because once again in boxing, if someone wants to offer you a lot of money to do absolutely nothing, you take it.
Exactly.
You take it. Come on. But here it is. This is why I think, and I get the impression that it's going to happen, actually, the rematch between Joe Joyce and Zhilei Zhang. Because Joe Joyce, for some reason, sees that interim WBO title as something of value. That actually means he's a world champion.
Right.
Because he was, once again, the way they were talking is that, look, unfortunately, if you don't execute the rematch clause, then in the contract, it states that if it's not executed, he can take another fight in the interim while he's waiting for you to make your decision. And if he gets his ass whooped by Tyson Fury, then there goes my belt. I'm like, what fucking belt?
Right.
So that's why I think they're going to actually pull the trigger and do the rematch unwisely. G, do you see it playing out any differently than the first fight?
It's a good question.
Oh, do you see it? Do you see it playing out even worse?
Ah, man. The funny thing is when we got a hold of Terry, he was like, hey, I'll agree to come on, but I heard your prediction.
Ah,
I said,
woo!
hey, man, I don't get them all right. That's for sure. But I
Yeah,
think,
brother. Hey, dude, I will say this. If I'm allowed to comment while you're doing the interview, I'll
sure,
say
sure.
thank you. You just made me $5,000 richer. Thank you very much.
That's right, man. And hey, good stuff there, Joe. That's always good to hear, man. But look, I think it's gonna play out pretty similar. Um, I don't know, man. Like for me, I felt like Joyce, the decision to stop the fight was kind of weird for me because he did respond to the ringside doctor when he did the
something
test to see if he could.
something else that most fans get wrong, brother. Most fans
Uh-huh.
believe, right, that the ringside physician has the authority to stop a fight at any time. No,
Yeah,
only the referee in charge does.
yeah.
And once again, who is the ref that night?
Oh my gosh, who was it? Um, I
Howard
can't remember his name
Foster.
now. Yeah,
The
yeah. And
quick
he's
trigger of
quick on the
Howard
trigger.
Foster. Once
Yeah,
again, ringside physician said, you know what? Give him a couple more rounds. I'll let it continue. I'll recommend that he can continue. Because once again, you saw him get the number correct. He could still
yeah,
see a little bit in that eye.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we've all seen worse
Mm-hmm.
in Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce. That eye was a lot worse.
Yeah.
Corrales Castillo. That eye was a lot worse.
Yep.
But
So
Howard Foster strikes again. And once again, he gets the recommendation of the ringside physician, steps away from him, and then weighs off the bout.
yep. And I do think that there was some momentum shift, man. Not a whole
Yep.
lot. But Joyce was starting to get busy. And that's usually when he starts to pick the pace up towards the middle and the end of the fight.
And
And
that's
it would have been
usually when
interesting.
Zhilei Zhang
Yeah.
starts running out of gas.
Yeah. So it'd have been interesting to see. So, if Joyce, he's definitely gonna have to make some improvements on defense. I mean, obviously fighting a big southpaw is difficult. So some things you're gonna have to work on. Me personally, if I'm in Joyce's team, specifically as trainer, I would take at least one fight before getting back in there with him. Just to make sure the things that we need to work on are being utilized in a real fight before we go back in with Zhang. That's the way I would do it. But if they feel confident enough to throw him back in there, then hey, that's on them, man. I'm gonna be right there watching it, just like the rest of you guys.
wait a minute though. And once again, I love the matchup still. And I think the Juggernaut is definitely more than just a live dog. He's the Juggernaut. Once again, if Howard Foster does not wave on that bout, off that bout, but let's face it, Tony Weeks just made Howard Foster look like a prince. But going back to point, if Howard Foster does not wave off that bout, I was starting to sweat it in the sixth, brother. I'm like, oh no, here comes the Juggernaut. This is what happens when you decide to make a stupid bet and have, well, basically indulge in almost a full bottle. The night before, I wake up that morning and I see, oh no, did you just really bet last night $1,000 and don't remember? Yes, I did that. And it was live on Boxing Gem show that night that you participated with us. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I'll admit it. I was 3 sheets to the wind, brother.
Hey, I would have been too if I came up like that, man. That was a nice come up, Joe. But hey, man, I just want to say real quick, man, I'm getting kind of tired, man. I'm running on fumes here. I don't want to be, lagging ass here on you, so I'm gonna step out, man. But hey, appreciate you having me on, man. I took a week off to
it is always a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the air. And I'm just sorry, man, that I am still amped. Like I'm ready to go another 5 hours on the air, but I'm not. I've got to write some articles, do some segments. But G, it's good to have you back, my friend. I'm glad you took the week off. But man, we need your insight. We need your honest journalism. Yeah, we need you bringing back integrity to the boxing business once again, and you do that very well. Guys, please support G Funky Boxing. Go subscribe. Go hit the like button. Go check out his previous shows. They're all very high quality boxing commentary with a ton of insight and great interviews with your brother, Dave Duenas. You guys do a great job, man. And my hats off to you, brother.
Appreciate that, man. And all you guys continue to support the channel here. And shout out to Coach Ronnie, man, for putting in a lifetime of work for boxing and for us crazy boxing fans, man. Salute to you, Coach Ronnie. And thanks again, Joe, for having me on and let me come on and speak my 2 cents, man. I'm going to be doing my prediction breakdown for the Taylor Lopez fight sometime this week. Not quite sure on the day yet, but it will be out this week. So make sure you guys check it out, man. And I hope to see you there. Have a good night, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
God bless you, my friend. And thank you once again for sharing the air with us. It's always a joy, man, whenever you come on. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for everything, brother, that you contribute to this brutal ass-beating business called boxing. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too, my friend. I'll tell you what, guys. Yeah, G Funky. One of the best channels on YouTube, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And once again, Larry, thank you for being, once again, a very insightful Warwick Radio family member, and also supporting G Funky's channel also. God bless you, brother. And you say it's among some of the only channels I listen to currently. Oh boy, it's become a jungle out there, hasn't it? It is, yeah, you don't even know where to begin if you're a fan, just getting into finding the right channel for you. Oh boy. Yeah, it's a mess. And to be honest with you, Larry, I'm like you. It's very difficult being in this business and listening to all of the banter. And what's up with all of these debate shows? I'm listening to it, and it's one bad, mythical, nonsensical point after another. And these are guys, and God bless them, they're all passionate fans of the sport, but they're all trying to win an argument based on nonsense and things that really aren't true. Just for the sake of debate? Why would any fight fan who actually wants to learn something and have intelligent conversation, why would anyone listen to that kind of crap? Once again, I go to my brother, another channel I love frequenting, my friend Ryan from Boxing Gems. He does the film study channel. He is very intelligent, very insightful, and he does brilliant work, guys. Please go frequent his channel and subscribe if you haven't already as well. I know I'm going to be on there during the fights on this Saturday, so I will be there, guys. Why don't you come join me this Saturday? I will say this, though. He calls them house husbands of YouTube. You know, like Real Housewives of New Jersey, Real Housewives of Atlanta. He says that's how these boxing diehards sound when they start in their mind. And then they always say this, oh, dude, hey, let me cook. Brother, if that's cooking, I don't want to be anywhere near your kitchen. Chingao. I will say this, guys, and once again, I want to thank all of you for being a part of this program. I'm so sorry I came on so late. It's now after 2 a.m. on the East Coast. So I'm going to leave you with this, guys. I started the show out this way, but I just wanted to let you guys know, and I hope you really appreciate it, and I think you all do. Guys, I hope you appreciate the valuable time and precious time of Ronnie Shields in his busy schedule. This is what he does for the Warwick Radio extended family. He devotes religiously. Now, with the exception of today, it's his birthday. And of course, if he's having to fly out for a fight on Tuesday, then he can't make it, obviously. But more often than not, he devotes all year round, every single week, to visiting and sharing his insight, his experience, and his knowledge with all of you guys. And that's exclusive to the Warwick Radio Network. It's become a genuine joy in my life, in my career, getting to spend time with him every single week. And I love the man. And he's done so much, and he's taught me so much about this sport. And I can't thank him enough. He is one of the best guys that you'll ever meet, not just in the boxing business, but in life. When he says he's going to do something, he always does it. And he's happy to do it. And although he's one of the most brilliant minds in boxing, he is still one of the most humble and affable guys that you will meet. Once again, not just in boxing, in life, period. And everyone loves Ronnie. And I'm very proud to call him my brother and my friend. Happy birthday, Ronnie Shields. You're not only a credit to the business, you're a credit to everyone's life that you touch. God bless you, my friend. And happy birthday. And here's to 40 more years, my friend, at least. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to share the air with you every week. And our lives are better for it. God bless all of you. And thank you for hanging out with me at this late hour. And once again, guys, we're going to celebrate another birthday tomorrow, because we weren't on the air last Friday and Gogi was under the weather. But James Gogi celebrated a birthday on Friday, June 2nd. And we're not going to let that pass without a big shindig. So, guys, we're going to be live on the air celebrating Coach Gogi's birthday. And, well, he's going to give the gift to us. He's going to be breaking down Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor, as well as Jaime Munguia versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. He's going to be breaking down both fights. And we're going to be talking boxing. And we're going to relive a lot of great moments in his career. All of the champions that he helped train in Sacramento, Tony the Tiger Lopez, all of the work that he did with our mentor, Don Warwick Chargan. Guys, you don't want to miss this tomorrow. Well, guess what? It is tomorrow. Later today. God bless all of you guys for being here. And thank you once again for all being here for Coach Gogi, Coach Ronnie, and being the most intelligent fight fans on YouTube and being part of the Warwick Radio extended family. I can't thank you enough. God bless all of you guys, and you guys have a wonderful, well, evening or day, however you want to look at it. But guys, on behalf of G Funky, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to Warwick Radio. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everybody.
FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present Warwick Radio chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Herron.